And also, if you ferment it the right way, your cauliflower will be super crunchy, and it's one of the most enjoyable starter that you can have. Hey everyone, I'm Anastasia and welcome to Happy Bellyfish channel. In this video, I'm not alone. I would love to introduce you to my best friends, my ferments. Why I call them friends? Because they're actually living beings, and this must be the only living beings that you can actually eat and don't feel bad about it. Alright, if you landed on this video, you probably know how good fermented foods are for you and for your body and for your health. It's pretty much accepted now in the medical and scientific communities that fermented foods are an integral part of any healthy diet. This is that superfood that's available to everyone and that's so easy to prepare yourself at home. Literally, you spend half an hour and you have that jar of superfood that you can enjoy for weeks and even months to come. And to be honest, the effectiveness of this superfood is proved by the use of thousands of years by human beings. What you see here is just a very small selection of the number of jars that permanently live on my kitchen top. They get refilled and they get eaten, they change their colors, but yeah, our kitchen is full of ferments. We regularly run fermentation workshops in our online school, and our students get so excited to experiment with the colors and the flavors of fermented foods and these wonderful jars that sometimes then end up having a little bit more ferments than they expected. And then the question comes up: how do I eat it? How do I eat all these ferments? And also, how do I make sure that the fermented foods are on my plate daily and I don't get bored of them? This is exactly what I'd love to share with you. I'm going to share with you my favorite ways to enjoy fermented foods daily. Some of them you might not have even thought about. Each time that you open a jar of a ferment and you eat it, you actually eat a piece of history and a piece of culture. It really must be some of the most ancient foods that we are still consuming widely and preparing in our homes, be it famous sauerkraut, kimchi, or maybe fermented mushrooms, or anything else that you love, because you can ferment literally everything. If you look a little bit back and we really understand why people invented, or let's say not invented, really, they discovered fermented foods. The main purpose for this was preservation. Nowadays we are so lucky because we can get any type of food at any time of the year, and if it doesn't grow in the neighbor's garden, then it can grow on the other part of the globe and it will be delivered to us if you really want it very, very much. But in all times it was not that. So the only way to preserve the foods and also to preserve all the goodness that they have to offer, all the nutrients and vitamins, was to ferment it. And people would add it everywhere and in everything. Originally, I come from Russia, and you know probably that it's quite a cold region. So if we preserved a bunch of cabbage, for instance, during the winter, it was literally eaten with everything, because otherwise you just won't get all the nutrients that you need. And this is the approach you can surely also take nowadays. The easiest way and the most obvious one to eat your fermented vegetables is to simply scoop them out of the jar and eat. The question is, of course, how much can you do it this way? And sometimes you might not enjoy particular flavors on its own that much. One trick I'll share with you here. You can actually create a fermented salad as such. So you don't have just to, ferment one cauliflower and simply eat it from the jar. You can put a variety of vegetables in one jar, and you can see it here. Like I have it in these beautiful jars where I mix together cauliflower, turnips, radishes, also carrots, chili peppers, and even ginger. It's a salad on its own. I make a huge jar and I just eat it throughout the winter as it is. I can also add a little bit of olive oil on top, or maybe some fresh herbs, and it's so amazing, it's so tasty, And also, if you ferment it the right way, your cauliflower will be super crunchy, and it's one of the most enjoyable starter that you can have. The other way you can put more ferments in your daily food is simply put them on top of your dishes. And just change the way that you think about it, because all of us think that, okay, I'll just add some ferments on top so that I can eat more ferments. But the real reason for you to do it is because it really can take your dish to the next level. You see, the fermented vegetables are so colorful. You can literally create all the rainbow colors. And it doesn't matter if it's a winter season, you know, when the veggies are scarce, you can have all the colors of your rainbow on your plate by just adding different types of veggies. And it can be as simple. Let's say you're short on time. Then fermented veggies are something that you can definitely have in your pantry or in your fridge all the time. You can simply boil any favorite grain, healthy grain of yours. It can be buckwheat, it can be bulgur, it can be your favorite rice variety, or maybe you will even create khichdi, rice and lentil porridge. And you know, grains don't look so appealing by itself. They also don't give you a satisfying feeling. You won't mix them with something. So you just take your favorite ferment and you drop them on top. Like you can drop your beets, or here I fermented some turnips with the beets and also added some pumpkin, and you can see there are so many colors on the plate immediately. The next way, and the most traditional way to eat the ferments in my region, is to actually add it to soups, and this is the wonderful thing to eat in winter. Probably everyone heard about the classic Eastern European dish called borscht. It's a famous soup that's made with beetroot and made with cabbage. It can be based on the meat broth, or it can also be made completely vegan. It depends on what you prefer. But traditionally, people would actually add a lot of sauerkraut to the soup. And they would add it to any soup where the cabbage can be a part of it. The important trick here is that make sure that when you add, let's say, sauerkraut on some dill pickles in your soup or anything else that you want, that you don't boil it. The heat will kill all the probiotic benefits of your ferments. So just serve the soup, or just boil it first, cool a little bit, and then add your ferments when the water is not at its boiling point. And as we're talking about the soups, it's also a great way to eat the brine in which you prepared your veggies. Again, just add some brine in your soup, and it will also act as a great replacement, for instance, of apple cider vinegar or for lemon juice. If you use them for your soups to sour the flavor, you can use the brine for it. One thing to watch out, of course, brines from different veggies will have different flavors. And if you fermented cabbage or cauliflower, then maybe it can have a certain smell that would put people off when they eat it in the soup. But if you created pumpkin, or if you made some beetroot or beet kvass, then this is a perfect thing to add. It has no bad smell, it has no bitterness, and it's just perfect for your vegetable broths. Another traditional way to add ferments is to put them in different sandwiches and wraps. And I'll tell you, if you're a big fan of shawarmas, for instance, the best ones are those where they put pickles, or maybe you love burritos and you know that the flavor kicks come from the pickled jalapenos, or maybe from cucumber pickles, or the traditional Middle Eastern turnips fermented with the beets. So when you make those wraps or your sandwiches, maybe it's a morning sandwich, or maybe it's something that you pack for your child to school, just put tiny slices of ferments, and it makes it also so gorgeous with its colors. The less obvious way that you can enjoy fermented foods is to turn them into sauces. Of course, if you don't know all the original recipe of the sauces, including ketchup and mayo and mustard, they are actually fermented. Well, nowadays not anymore necessarily, but traditionally these sauces were made from fermented veggies or seeds or even eggs. So one of the ways is when people create a sauce and then they ferment it, but you can also do it the other way around. For instance, if you fermented a bunch of mushrooms, you can simply process them in a blender, and here it is, your sauce is ready, your dip is ready. Eat it with a bread or any other way that you eat your dips and sauces. You can do the same with the chilies. If you have pickled chilies, process them in a blender, and here it is, your fermented sauce is ready. And it's so easy to eat it as a condiment with everything that you love. And if you're the person who also loves fresh vegetables, then there is a great way to simply add your fermented carrots or maybe fermented zucchinis or pretty much anything fermented in your salad. It kind of sneaks in and also gives that kick of flavor and that extra probiotic that might not be there otherwise. And don't forget the salad dressings. Again, here's where the brine and the vegetable come to rescue. And if all these ideas and all these images of gorgeous, delicious jars made you very hungry and curious about how you can also create more fermenting jars in your house, make sure to check happybellyfish.com because we have some really fun fermentation challenges that are very affordable. And we even have free fermentation classes that you can check out there, join, and already try to create maybe some unexpected flavors that, as you already know, you can add literally in every single meal that you enjoy at home. And there's a special bonus I want to tell you, that if you think that fermented foods only means fermented veggies, it's not like that. You actually might be eating already probiotic fermented foods daily. For instance, yogurt and cheese are also fermented. And don't forget, there is so much variety in what you can ferment. So if you love fermented drinks, if you love kombucha and naturally fermented soda, or maybe kefir is your piece of cake, then it's also the way to enjoy fermented foods without even touching the vegetables. Do you already eat a lot of fermented foods daily? What's your favorite way to enjoy the fermented veggies? Please drop us in the comments. I'd love to hear, and perhaps we can all inspire each other and find new and innovative ways to enjoy these beauties and to enjoy our best friends. With this, I'm going to leave you. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. We're releasing weekly videos about all things healthy foods, healthy eating, and healthy cooking. I'll see you in the next video.